All right, so today gonna have a chat about just some quick conditioning exercises, movements, prescriptions that you can throw into a program that is a pre-existing program, pre-existing lifting program, or a pre-existing movement program that's not going to detract away from, you know, the other training that you're doing. So one of the things that we get asked quite a bit is, how can I get a better conditioning base while not sacrificing some of my strength work or some of my sport-specific training that I'm doing? So today I'm just going to take you through some of my personal philosophies and some of the personal things that I would do if I was working with an athlete and we were taking them into an event that we were trying to kind of peak the conditioning for that particular event. So, you know, one of the things that with this, there's a whole multitude of ways to skin this particular cat. So this is a very, very broad and very, very general video, hopefully to give you an insight into some of the things you can do within your own programming. When it comes to conditioning, especially if you are a strength sport athlete, you know, you do want to have at least a relatively good base level of conditioning, but you don't want it to detract from the training that you're doing. So doing 5, 6, 7 days a week of conditioning training is not going to be smart. Adding in 1 or 2 days a week is probably another thing. If you're a field sport athlete or particularly a contact sport athlete, when it comes to adding in extra conditioning, you know, some of the specific training that you're going to be doing is going to be second to none to actually getting you conditioned for your particular sport. However, that takes a physical toll on your body. So having another couple of things you can do 2 to 3 days a week just to keep that base level up, or even raise that base level of conditioning that you're trying to build outside of your lifting and your sport specific training, is a good thing to do. So for me, I usually use really only 3 pieces of equipment: the rower, the air dyne, or the sleds. Main reason I kind of stick to those 3 things is, for the most part, it's going to be relatively low impact on your joints. It's not going to beat your muscles up too much. It's going to allow you to bounce back from those particular workouts quicker. So, you know, the rower and the air dyne, I think most gyms you should have access to those 2 pieces of equipment. I tend to stay away from the treadmill, especially for a field sport athlete, because a lot of the times you're going to be running anyway, and you're better off running on grass than you are running or on the field rather than running on a treadmill. But rower and air dyne are 2 pieces of equipment. With the sleds, especially if you're doing it for a conditioning workout, you want to make sure that it's not so heavy that it's just that slow grinding pace. You want to make sure it's dynamic, you want to make sure it's quick, and it's something that's going to spike that heart rate quickly. So they're the 3 type pieces of equipment that I usually stick towards. With those, there are a whole multitude of ways you can skin that cat, as I said, or with those 3, in regards to like time domains that you can work towards. EMOTM is just every minute on the minute. So especially for the sleds, you might do a 20-minute sled push every minute on the minute for 8 minutes or something like that. You could do something a little bit more like every 2 minutes, especially if you're playing a sport that maybe has you going for a little bit longer. You know, a sport like gridiron, who we work with a lot of athletes, they're going to try and keep it shorter, really be under, you know, maybe looking at something like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 10 minutes. So those types of intervals, 30 seconds on, minute off, especially for the rower and the air dyne, are 2 really good ones. I would generally keep them around sort of 8 to 15 minutes. So a lot of this conditioning work, we're going to aim for less than 15 minutes per piece. With that, we want to try and bring the heart rate up and then get it back down as quickly as possible. So during your rest times, you want to be focusing on your breathing, making sure that you're doing everything you can to get that resting heart rate back down as quickly as possible. A couple of other things that you can do to up your conditioning. I personally find with some of the athletes that I work with, these two things do tend to beat people up a little bit more than using these. You've got your sandbag carries and sandbag sprints. Just be careful with that because it can affect running mechanics. So if you are trying to sprint as much as possible, just be careful with that. But hill sprints are a really good one as well. But I think anybody who has done a good session of hill sprints knows how much they're going to beat up that posterior chain. So potentially not something to do at the start of the week when it comes to conditioning. But for me, I'm going to stick to the rower, the Airdyne and sleds. Push and pull with the sleds. As I said, if you're going to use those, keep it fast. Try and move as quickly as possible. Move a good amount of weight, but move it as quickly as possible. And they're just some different types of time domains you can work towards. Every minute on the minute, every 2 minutes. So 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, or at the top of every 2 minutes. You might do, a 50-meter sled drag every 2 minutes for, maybe 10 rounds, or that'd be total of 20 minutes. But your total work is going to be under that 15 minutes. Minute on, minute off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. 1-to-1 work-rest ratio is another thing you can do as well too, where especially on the rower or the Airdyne, you can time those just on the screens. But yeah, there's some key points in regards to conditioning. Really good stuff just to add in additionally to a program. And if we stick up here, it's stuff that's generally not going to beat up your joints or your muscles too much. So if you've got any questions or any extra questions on how you can kind of structure all this together, be sure to hit us up. But hopefully that helps. Thank you.